I'm at a point in my process where I am working on some jelly prints here, and I like to start my paintings now with collage as like the first layer. So instead of buying a bunch of pre-made collage papers, what I'm enjoying doing at the moment is making my own. So I'm using some acid-free copy paper. It's really important that it's acid-free so that it's archival quality and it doesn't yellow and warp over time. When I'm using any type of material or any type of paper for a painting that's not part of my sketchbook, I always like to make sure that it's acid free. I have a cat. Well, I have two cats. One right now is just trying to get my attention, but okay. So this is a small one. I think this is the 5x7 jelly print. What I have here today is I have 5x7 and I have a big 8x10. So I'm going to take the 5x7 because sometimes I like to make really small ones. Let's see. I've got some material on here. Let me just get it off. Okay. So I'll take the photocopy paper, and it's like the perfect size. If you take a 8.5x11 photocopy paper, fold it in half, and I just cut it. It doesn't have to be perfect because I'm using it for collage anyway, so I never worry about it being too straight. Okay. So then I take some acrylic paint. I'm using fluid acrylics. And this is for the background layer. So let's see. I think I'm going to use a little bit of brown, some orange, and some yellow. Then I'm going to take my brayer, my roller, and I don't want it too like blended or too perfect. Those little patterns will show through in the background of the print. So, okay. Then I'm going to take my photocopy paper and still got some of this stuff on it. Okay. Lay it down, press it, smooth it out. Okay. Then pull. And that's the background layer. Okay. Then I'm going to take whatever is left over and just do a few more backgrounds until until I could get the plate clean. This is how I get the plate clean so that I could work on multiple prints at once. Another background. I'm gonna let that dry a little bit. Maybe I'll do one more. It'll be like a really faint print. Just get the paint off of my brayer, off my roller. And fold this in half one more time. Do another one. And keep in mind, like, I like Liquitex fluid acrylics because it's not so thick when you're doing stuff like this. But for anybody who's interested in getting started in this, you can use cheap paint if you want. And I just mean like student grade paint. Don't use like the cheapest paint where it'll mess up the quality of the paper, but you can get away with using a cheap acrylic paint because you're just going to collage these anyway. This will be like the underpainting. But this is a really good brand. I love Liquitex Basics. I use it for most of my acrylic paintings. So next, I have some stencils. The second layer will be like the mark making layer. So I have some pre-made stencils that I bought, and then also I made my own just by taking some it's like a paper protector that you could get it at like Staples or anything that you put your paper in to keep it protected. Then you fold it a few times, cut a few marks in it. It doesn't have to be perfect, and voila, you have a stencil. So there's so many options. You don't always have to buy stencils. In fact, I find it more interesting when you make your own because you get these really cool organic shapes. So this is from one of them that I've made. And this is another. Okay. So now where did I put the jelly print? Oh, okay. Okay. So now I'm gonna take, let's see, maybe I want a dark contrast with this, an even darker contrast. So I'll take some Mars Black. We'll start with that. And, okay, let me use a different burger. I'm going to cover this in Mars Black. The thing with jelly plates is when you have any type of watery paint, or even when you add water, you'll get these really cool splotchy types of marks. If you don't want those types of marks and you want it to be really opaque, I would use a heavy body acrylic paint. But I'm using the fluid acrylics because I like those types of marks. Okay, so now I'm going to take my homemade stencil and I'm just going to place it in a certain area to see. Yeah, I like it here. Okay. So I'm going to lay that down, and then I'm going to take my background paper, lay that on the press, press it down, smooth it out. If you want, sometimes I use another brayer just to roll it out or to smooth it out. If you really want to press into it. And then time to pull. And look at that. Got a lot of those nice little details, those little splotchy marks in the stencil. And you could just build on this. So then another cool thing that I like to do is I like to, when I take the stencil off, I've got a nice background. The great thing about jelly print is nothing goes to waste. You can create so many different types of prints. So I'm going to take that old paper that I used to clean my plate the first time, and I'm going to use that. It's got a nice wash to it, so the areas that were covered by the stencil, they create a nice little pattern, background pattern. So I'm going to put this paper down. Okay. And then it's time to pull. And this is my underprint. So as you can see, it's like you get two different types of prints. Okay. And I've got this extra one here, so let's try something interesting with this. Okay. This is one of those pre-made stencils. So I'm going to lay that on the press. Let's see which way I want to do it. Okay, that's the way that I'm going to do it. All right. So I'm going to go in with that black again. Okay. This time I laid it on very streaky because I still want to get some interesting texture coming from the stencil. Okay, so let's lay it down, press it. Okay, now we're going to pull. Look at that. And I'm going to show you in a minute what I like to do with these to add a little more flair. Okay, so again, we've got like some leftover print from the stencil. And I'm going to use another piece of paper. Okay. I'm gonna pull. And that's my print for this one. Okay, so to add a little flair to this print that I have, right? Sometimes I like to take an acrylic marker, like I have a white one right here, and maybe add some marks. I think I'll do a spiral here. And this is one of the prints. And then what I like to do with these is have them on hand so that when I want to do a collage, you know, they're ready to go. I don't have to buy sheets. Sometimes I'll write on them or hand draw some cool designs on them, and they just become part of the painting. Okay. So this is how I do it.